Hey there, welcome to today's video. My name is Christy Murphy and I'm here to teach you how to prevent Murphy's Law within your business and in your relationships, life, whatever. You can use these tools on whatever, but we're going to be talking it from a business standpoint today. And Murphy's Law. Do you know what that means? It means anything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's not my law. It's been around forever, but I sure have been affected by it. And from all the flops and flaws that have happened within this whole thing that we call life and business, I've learned to plan, prepare, and prep and be a better risk manager. That way I can make sure that my business can sustain pretty much anything, right? Because you want to plan for the worst and expect the best, but also have some kind of way out if something does go wrong. Because it's life. Life isn't perfect, right? And neither are you. So, first step, it's going to be about your mindset and the law of attraction. And I'm not here to be like, if you dream it, you can get it, right? Like that's not the case, because you also have to do the work, right? So your mindset is everything. It is key. And I have a client that in the past she used to be so negative and hard on herself and her family. Like, it's just not going to happen. My husband hasn't had a job. He has an interview. He's not going to get it though, because it's really hard for us right now. He can't get a job. I can't get money in my business. Like, nothing's working out. And I had to stop her and I had to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, let's check this out. You are creating your own life right now. Okay, I know some people say life happens to you, life is what you make of it, whatever, but here's the deal. Your life is something you control. You are the authority figure in your own life, and if you choose to give the power up to someone else, or if you choose to talk negative and have those conscious thoughts within yourself, then that's the kind of life results you're going to get, okay? So if you have the constant mindset of, I'm always stuck. I'm always suffering. I can never lose weight. I can never keep to my nutrition diet. I can never make money in my business. I can never, what is it? Like, I could never make over $3,000 a month, or I could never have an investment property, or I could never buy this brick and mortar business that I really want to do, or I could never do XYZ, whatever. Like, if you're saying I could never do it, then you are putting it out there to the world. Not only are you telling yourself and others this, but like the universe, all the opportunities, everything else is shutting its doors, locking them up, because you say you never can. Okay? And so everything else around you is like, all right, not going to happen for Christy, not going to happen for Billy Bob or Sally Sue or whoever. It's just not going to happen, right? So be conscious with your language and what you're telling yourself. And the more you can say what your dreams are, don't say like, oh, one day I want to be able to do whatever. So let's use my example for the whole wedding venue that I'm doing right now. So one day I want to own a wedding venue. Like, that's not good enough, because we don't have a deadline on it. We're talking about it in the future. And the most important part of this is that you're saying one day, meaning subconsciously you're accepting that if it doesn't happen, it's okay, because one day doesn't already exist. So make sure that you're putting some kind of deadline. Like, I want to own a wedding venue by the time I'm 30. I'm 26. I'm in the process of starting it. So that is my first little key, is to be conscious with your language. One thing that I don't suggest you doing is saying the word hope. Hope is like one of the worst words out there for anyone that's trying to go after their dreams. And it's one thing to have faith and truly believe about whatever it is that you want to do, like to have all that, that's one thing. But if you're out there consciously saying, I hope that I get to do whatever, again, it's like saying one day. It means that it's most likely not going to happen, and you're okay with it not happening. So you need to make sure that your mindset is set on what it is that you want and go in that direction, and know that there's no other plans. Like, this is it. It's non-negotiable. This is where you're going. This is where you're heading. And this is what you demand. And this is what your main focus on. Because what you focus on becomes your reality, okay? And like, if you've ever noticed in a relationship, for example, if you're like, oh, I know he's doing something bad, or oh my gosh, that girl is a freaking crazy girl, like whatever it is, because I know guys think girls are crazy, and women, we like to just come up with our own problems. Like, stop and think real fast. If you are thinking that they're doing something wrong, number one, you're going to get irritated. Number two, you're going to become some person up here in your head where you start making up stories and taking everything really, really personal. And that's a really, really bad thing, right? And then they all of a sudden think that you're crazy. And then all of a sudden your relationship's not there, but you both wanted the relationship in the first place. So remember, what you focus on becomes the results of it, okay? Because what you put out there is what you're going to get. So if you're going seeking problems, or if you're going seeking, I'm suffering, that's the only thing I ever do, like that's what's going to happen. So mindset is key. It's the law of attraction, because that's going to keep you focused and keep you on the right path of where you're heading, okay? So that's number one with preventing Murphy's Law. Make sure your mindset is in check, okay? So check yourself before you wreck yourself. Number two, the feasibility study on you and find out about your buyers, right? So you have to do a feasibility study on your business. And you know, if you're and like, this is the thing with starting an online business or even other businesses nowadays, like we're forgetting all the traditional pieces, people. You can't just go into business and open up the doors and make money. Like, you can do that. You could also be a one-hit wonder, but if you're trying to have something that's longevity, right? You want to have a longevity in your business. You want to beat the odds of being around for over 3 years. You don't want to fail. So make sure you have a feasibility study within your business to make sure it's even feasible and possible in the location that you're doing it, with the startup stuff that you want to do. Like, make sure it's possible, and if not, find an alternative route. That way you can grow into it instead of fading out of it, right? Because we want to grow, not fade. So that is super duper important. But also doing a feasibility self case study on you as a business owner, okay? Because let's think about this. If you're going to get a job, you fill out an application, you send in your resume, someone reviews it, you interview with them, all that kind of jazz happens, right? But if you're a business owner, nobody is making you fill out an application, nobody's making you send in a resume, and nobody's going to interview you for your business, because it's your money, it's your life, you're going for it, right? So you, as a business owner, need to figure out where you stand. Are you the creative, visionary one that knows how to make the most perfect design and experience for your clients, but when it comes to anything business related, you just fall short on? Because if you fall short on all this stuff, like, that's going to be a big issue moving forward in the direction of wherever you're trying to take your company. That's when you're going to fade out, right? Or are you somebody that's like really, really good at marketing, but when it comes to management, let's just say, you suck. Okay, so like, you got to know where your strengths are, you got to know where your flaws are, and you got to know all areas of what's going on in your business, or you're going to fade out. And I'm going to keep saying this because 90% of businesses aren't in business. They don't make it to their 3rd anniversary. They fade out. Like, I don't know how else to say this, like 90% of businesses. So that's 10 businesses, right? After 3 years, only one exists. All of these other 9 ones, they're gone. Say bye-bye. We have one. So if you're trying to make it past that mark, you're going to have to know who you are as a business owner, what tools and what people and what things do you need to learn to sustain yourself? What things do you need to learn to grow? Because if you hire, let's just say you hired Sally to come in to do your bookkeeping, and all of a sudden Sally's like, screw you, I don't want to work for you anymore. Well, what's going to happen? And was Sally even doing a good job whenever you get audit? Because the IRS doesn't care that little Joe was doing your taxes for you and everything fell apart and now you owe the IRS, $30,000 or whatever. Little Joe doesn't care. But you have to care, right? Because you need to be able to check everything and know that things are happening in your business and that it's the best decisions being made, because you have to think of it as an investing standpoint. Is this going to move me forward, or is it going to hold me back? Am I doing this because I want the social recognition for this, or am I doing this because this is going to really, truly help me to get to the next level within my business? And whether you are starting out at a home-based business or a freelance business or some kind of small coaching one-man business, or even let's just say like you're in the wedding industry or a realtor or whatever, and like you have no overhead, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm gonna buy a place or lease a place and have overhead and employees and all this other stuff. Like, you just took one business model and now you're in a completely bigger business model. So these are two different ballparks going on. You got the little dogs and you got the big dogs over here. So when you step it up from here to go up to here, you need to make sure that you can manage having the overhead of not only the bills and expenses, but all the other responsibilities that come on, like other people's lives that you now have to manage as employees. You have to know what to do, or you're going to fall short and you're going to ruin not only yourself, but the people you bring on board with you. Okay, so number 2, feasibility study. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a feasibility study, making sure that what it is that you're setting off to do is actually feasible, like it's actually gonna happen. There's no big major red flags and risk, okay? And if you do it and you're like, oh man, I'm not cut out to be a business owner, or oh man, my business isn't gonna work in this really awesome location that I really wanted to have it at, or whatever, like, know that you just gotta tweak things and you have to revise and figure it out. And if you do all the front work before you start investing money, you're going to save yourself in the long run, because you're going to come into it more prepared, more planned, and you're going to prevent a lot of hiccups along the way that could potentially fade you out. So number 3, preventing Murphy's Law comes down to your industry. All right. And this may sound a little bit crazy, but you have competition, right? And you also have the economy that's going to affect things, as well as other trends going on within the world, right? So let's talk about this real fast. You obviously want to be an expert within your market and industry. So with that, you're going to have to find a way to help make you stand out. How are you going to be different? How are you going to attract the right people that aren't going to misunderstand you, and how are they truly going to come on board to join you? And whether it's, again, brick and mortar, online business, service-based, doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever experience and results you're creating for your people, your clients, your customers, they need to know that you're the expert and that you're where to go buy whatever it is that you sell, okay? Because it's not going to be as easy as selling toilet paper. I mean, some of you may have a toilet paper company. That's cool, because that's something that's always going to be used. But if you're not selling something that easy where you could just like discount it and then people buy it and see how it is, then you're going to have to get creative with it, right? And how are you going to be an expert? How are you going to be different? Because the more you can stand out and be different, the more chances you're going to have people walk through your doors, or people sign on with you, or whatever, online, virtually, or in person. It's going to have more traffic, and you're going to be building that funnel, right? But let's talk about the competition piece real fast, okay? So I've mentioned before that in a world of 7+ billion people, and if they say that you're 1 in a million, that means there's 7,000 other people just like you, right? So even though you may be like, I have the most amazing idea and there's nothing in my town that's anything like this, or, you know, like no one's like me online, no one knows my technique, like that's great. That's what's going to help make you different. But it doesn't mean that there's no competition. Okay, so this is important. And if you're listening to anything else, like, hey, put it away, listen up. Okay, this is important. When it comes to your competition, you have to think, what are people spending money on right now where they could be spending money on you? Okay, so if someone is going out and they're spending money on, let's say, just going out to eat and going to the club and going wherever and on vacation and all this other stuff, and they're trying to start their business and it's a hobby-based business, but their business is lifestyle based and they want to work from their laptop and go do all these fun things, like that's something to consider. How are you going to make them pause for a minute to come be a part of your group, like my Wonderpreneur family, for example, and say like, hey, hold on with your trip. because you're going to be in a 5-star hotel if you let me do this, and you won't be using your credit card next time. Like, you can for points, but like, it won't be the only way you have to do it. Like, just hold on for a second and let's figure this out. Or if you're starting, let's say, a restaurant, and even though you may only be the one Chinese restaurant in your town, or, you know, let's say like Tex-Mex in the UK, because whenever I was in the UK for a month, I like really wanted a breakfast taco. And if you haven't been to Texas, you gotta come and you need to go get some breakfast tacos in the San Antonio, New Braunfels area. Okay, do it. It's on the list. Put that on your bucket list now, because it's gonna change your life and you're gonna want them all the time. And chips and queso. And if you don't know what chips and queso are, you need to come and have it, because that cheese dip in California is nothing on queso in Texas. So back to the whole thing. Restaurant, having a Tex-Mex place in the UK, and you're the only one that's doing it right now. Okay, so if you're the only one doing it right now, you know what tends to happen when somebody's the only person? Well, I'll give you a hint. Other people start doing it. So you start this, everyone sees it working, then you have other people, right? Or you start this and nobody comes in, and you invested all your time and your money and your energy, and this is it. And if it doesn't work out, like, you're screwed. Yeah, you're screwed, right? So what are you going to do? How are you going to stand out and help people recognize that they need to come to you versus spending their money on whatever it is that they're spending money on when they could be spending money on you? So like, what is the alternative, right? So even though peanut butter and jelly go together, I also know somebody that eats like peanut butter and Miracle Whip, right? So like, you need to think of what is the alternative. Like, yeah, peanut butter's here and I made jelly, so people are gonna buy me. But if somebody else is buying Miracle Whip for their peanut butter sandwich, and that, I think it's gross. And if you eat that, like, that's cool, but I'm just using that as an example because that's my example that I just thought of in my head. But you have to be able to think of the alternative and what is that pair that's going to go together. Just like buying a home, you know that they're going to need a lender, but you also know they're going to need a realtor. Or do they need a realtor, right? So what is that pair that's going together, and where is that alternative route heading? Because you need to pay attention to your industry, and you need to know what's going on in your industry. So like with my online industry, I know that there's been a lot of scammers lately because it's just a bunch of people being sold on what their dreams are. And just like I've mentioned before, sales is simple. If you know what your people want and you know how to sell them on their dream and you give them what they need, they're going to be happy and you're going to have the best reviews ever. But if you sell them on their dreams and then you don't give them what they need, you're just part of that whole trend where they say that salespeople are a bunch of bullshitters. I don't know if you've heard that or not, but that's what I have a lot in my industry. I have a lot of salespeople that need to go back to selling cars or something because they are messing up people's financial futures and their dreams by not giving them what they need on the inside. And I'm not cool with that. There's no regulations within my industry online, and seeing people get hurt that way makes me so mad. You would not know how mad and upset I get. My past clients get to hear about it. My boyfriend gets to hear about it. And now you're hearing about it. So let's move on to the industry part too. Like, pay attention to the economy too. So if you know that everyone's in a recession and you have some kind of, lifestyle thing, like, things may slow down, and how are you going to plan and prepare yourself? So if you're going like balls to the walls and trying to go from step 0 up to step 20 and one big leap, like, know that if something were to happen and the economy were to dip, you're just going to fall back down unless you have enough money to sustain yourself to pay off whatever it is that's going on in that time where people can't afford to buy your thing. So think of that, because you don't want to max out. That's where I was going with that. Number 4, this is management. Okay. And this is probably one of my favorite things. I mean, really, anything related to business is probably my favorite, but this is a thing that I love to teach because a lot of people in my world as being a entrepreneur, they want to go out, create memories. It's all about putting a feeling in someone or having someone experience something or helping people get results, helping someone through a life change. they fall short on the management side because they're so good at taking care of people, and they're so good at helping them through whatever life change going on, and they're so good at being creative and a visionary and that kind of stuff. So they know where they want to go. And I love that, because if you know where you want to go, I can help you get there, and I can help you even expand that even further, because I bet you don't even know everything else related to the business stuff that can really help you explode. So management, structures, you gotta have them in your business. You can't just start a business and not have structures. That's like building a home but not having like the actual post to hold everything up. Like, as soon as you touch it, it's all going to fall over. So structure, build structures into your business. Number 2 would be to have systems in place. Okay, so if you are having a client come on board with you, for example, you need a client onboarding process. How are you going to collect payments? How are you going to send them a contract? How are you going to greet them when they first come in? What is the experience going to be like when they are coming in, doing their shopping, and checking out with you? Because you want your business to operate like a nice, smooth country highway, right? Where there's not that much traffic, no traffic jams going on, and you're not like a bunch of little islands, because you want it to smooth and flow, right? Maybe even like a river, but we want it to go back the other way. Maybe a lake. You can take a boat and go. But you don't want to be like islands and be like way over here and have someone way over here, or be on this part of your business too. And then this island's like, hey, you totally messed this up because you didn't do this part, or you didn't do it right. And then it takes so much longer because the islands are really, really far apart. You don't want that within your business, right? You want everything to be smooth and intertwined, and know that this is the onboarding process. This is how we do things. This is how we keep up with things, because as soon as we get systems in place, it's like the oil and grease are starting to turn and things are happening, and we can streamline a business. Because one of my little sayings also is that screw automation, you're a human. So as long as you can streamline it and make the process easier and more simple, and you're able to bring on people faster and train them faster when you have everything in place, because they're not clueless, you're not clueless, you're not having mixed expectations, because everything is set in stone from the get-go before you get busy. So make sure you have your management down, and make sure your business foundation is solid, okay? And number 5, this is a big one. To prevent Murphy's Law from happening to you. And again, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So it's really, really important for number 5 to be focusing on your cash flow and your long-term goals and success, and thinking about where you're heading. Yes, you want to think about where you're heading this year, but you need to be thinking about where you're heading in your life, right? Because you most likely are going to want to retire one day. You most likely may not be able to physically, mentally take care of yourself the way you are right now. And that could change tomorrow. And I really hope it doesn't for you, because that would mean like something tragic happened, whether it was a big car wreck and something happened that way, or whatever, you got cancer or that kind of stuff. But like, things happen to people, and you have to have that stuff in check. So I want you to think about this, okay? Don't just like, I have a vision, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go for it. Woo! Right? That's great if you do it, and if you go out there and you achieve it, that's even more great, because you beat a lot of odds. But most of the time, it's going to take time to build it up. And when you're starting a business, you don't typically want to be paying yourself in that first year, sometimes not even in the first 2 years. And that's because you want to be able to put that money back into your business to grow it and to save for times that are slow. All right, so I'm going to say that again. In your first and second year in business, most likely you should not be paying yourself, because you should be investing it back into the business, not spending it. And you need to be saving for slow periods, because there's seasons of business based on the economy, who you are, what you're selling, all kinds of different things. Okay, so don't just go out and quit your job when you're starting your business. Don't start paying yourself everything you're earning in your business, because that's going to be really, really hard to get yourself out of later. And don't try to change and grow at rapid speed. Slow and steady always wins the race. Remember the little rabbit and the turtle in the race? Like, who won? The turtle, because he was slow and steady. He didn't get burned out. He was careful. So when you do that stuff in the long-term standpoint, you're going to be successful, okay? And then also, you need to be thinking about your credit, because you want to be able to leverage this stuff in the future. You want to be thinking about your taxes all year long and what you're going to be paying and what you need to save so you don't get behind. And you also need to be thinking about your retirement, because those are 3 things that business owners, especially that are starting a business, forget to focus on, okay? So start a retirement account. One thing that I will say is I have an awesome friend who I have my account with, and it doesn't, what do you call it? It doesn't go based on where the economy's at. So if we're in a recession, it's not going to affect the amount of money I get, because you don't want to retire in a downfall, because you're going to get less than whenever you retire when the market's good, right? So try to think about having safe ways the way I have it. And if you want her information, I can definitely point you in the right direction. But you want to have accounts that aren't affected by whatever's going on, that also have a higher rate, because you're a business owner. You don't have a company man matching your percent. It's you, and you're the one-man show. So look for different accounts the way I have. And again, if you want her information, just reach out and I will point her in your direction, or you in her direction, whatever. I'll introduce you to each other. And then number 2, when it comes to credit, you can't be maxing out on everything, because I've mentioned this before in another video. But if you're up here living your dream life and all your credits and stuff is also up here and you're maxed out on everything, and then all of a sudden we go through a recession or we go through a downfall, you're going to fall short, and this is really going to affect you and your longevity and how you're going to be moving forward. So make sure that when you are collecting debt and stuff like that, your profits are up here, but you're down here, right? You don't want to max it out, because if something were to happen, you are going to be really, really, really stuck. So think about those kind of things. That way you can also leverage in the future. And when it comes to taxes too, if you're planning to buy a home, let's say, or invest in a commercial property, or even buy a car, you have to be able to report income within your business. And they're not going to go off of that top line before you made all bazillion different write-offs that you had. They're going to be looking at that profit line, and they're going to be averaging it out over the last 2 years. So make sure that you are reporting a profit, because you do got to pay taxes, people. But also know that like things like mill and entertainment, that's a terrible spot to write something off, in my opinion. Disclaimer, not telling you not to write something off that way, but for my personal and professional and all that kind of experience, my opinion is that mills and entertainment is a bad section to write off, because as a lender, they're going to look at that and deduct it again. So I always try to make sure that I'm not doing that stuff, because I may go out and I may talk about business, but if I'm just out with a friend and stuff like that, I'm not going to write that off, because it could affect my debt to income ratio with buying a home or buying a car or buying another investment property. And I want to be able to leverage what I can and just pay the government what they're supposed to get paid, right? So those are my 5 areas to help you prevent Murphy's Law within your business and in your own household and life and that kind of stuff. If you found this video helpful, please like it, please comment, please share anything you want to share. If you have a question you want me to answer, please email it to Christy@officialwonderpreneurs.com. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and catch me on another one. I'll see you soon. Bye.